Welcome everyone. In today's session, we're going to look at the practice assessment for the Introduction to Bookkeeping Level 2, the second part. So we have done up to question number 4 on previous session. So today we're going to start from task 5. So let's have a look what we have here. So the question we have here, task 5 for 10 marks. Let's read the question quickly first. So this task is about processing supplier invoices and credit note and entering in day books. This task contains part A and B for 10 marks. The supplier invoice has been checked, authorized, and coded. All right, so that's the supplier invoice. So we have here Bifra Limited. So that's my supplier. So you can see here we have some amount, 165 meters, the total, net, VAT, and the total. The calculation we have here, that's already given to us, and they're asking the terms will be net monthly, checked by AS, code is given, so everything is given. Let's look at the requirement. It says this information can be viewed on the reference materials. If you like to see on the right corner on your window, you can see the same information if you like to see from the reference material. Enter the invoice in the digital bookkeeping system, selecting the correct module option and making the necessary entries. So digital bookkeeping system means like you're recording in a software. For example, you use QuickBook or Xero, any bookkeeping software you can use to record this transaction. So they say the question here is which day book we're going to use in order to record this transaction. It's very simple, because if we buy something from the supplier, so I need to record on the purchase day book. Remember that anything relevant to the supplier will go to the purchase day book. If anything relevant to the customer will go to sales day book. For example, when I sell to my customer, I record in the sales day book. When I buy something from my supplier, I record it on the purchase day book. How I know like he's my supplier? When I receive the invoice from him, he's my supplier. And when I send the invoice to my customer, that means he's my customer. So this is very important. Maybe the question will not make it very clear for you. So you need to see what's happening. Here is clearly we dealing with the supplier. So supplier invoice means I received the invoice from my supplier. That means he's my supplier. So if he's my supplier, that means I'm going to record on the purchase day book because I made a purchase from him. So that will be recorded on the purchase table. So the first one is very simple and not difficult at all. The next one we have here, he says digital bookkeeping entries. So we just need to record it. Remember that when you have invoice, when you enter the invoice in the system, you just need to copy. No difficulties here. So we have supplier code. So let's look what is the code 5032. So let's write it down. The code 5032. Then the general code we have, so that's the general code actually. So you can cut 5032. Then the supplier code we have here, that is let's have a look. What is the supplier code? BIF 32. So that's my supplier code. BIF 32. BIF. Let's make it bigger. BIF 32. Try to exactly copy the way it is look like in the invoice, because this exam will be marked by the computer. So you need to be make sure like you don't do anything. For example, if I use the small letter, maybe the computer will not recognize it. So try to use exactly the same on the invoice. Invoice number. So let's have a look at the invoice number. The invoice number we have here, that is 3239. So 3239 net amount. Net amount we have 371.25. 371.25. And finally we have a VAT, and the VAT is standard rate 20%. So you just need to choose the standard rate 20%. That's it. It's done. Move to the next one. Is the purchase order and the invoice below relate to the goods supplied by our product. So we have invoice, so purchase order and invoice. So if we look at here, we need to find it out. What is the discrepancy? The question is asking, identify 4 discrepancies in the invoice. That means what is the difference between the purchase order and the invoice? So let's have a look at this one. So that's my purchase order. Normally, the purchase order has to be exactly matched with the invoice. And that's my invoice. Purchase order, when I make the order, so this is the order confirmation. An invoice, the seller sent it to me after. So quantity supplied, let's have a look. I order 8 box, so 80 box. So I receive 80 box. So it is match. So it is not problem. It's fine. Product supply, let's have a look. What did I order? I ordered ZX154, but they give me XZ. It's very close. You see that? So you need to be very careful. One is ZX and one is XZ. So it's not same. So there is a problem here. So we need to say it is product is supplied. It's not the right product. Then date of the invoice. Let's have a look. The purchase I make the order on 23rd of May. And they put the date on the invoice 20th of May. This is not correct because they cannot send me the invoice before I make the order. The invoice date can be after I made the order. So before I make the order, they cannot just send me the invoice. So for that reason, it is wrong. So date of the invoice is also wrong. It cannot be before the order. Then the next one, we have unit price. So unit price is a 4.76. And 4.76 is no problem, it's fine. Then we have a net amount. So the net amount, let's have a look. We have 80 box. So 80 multiply 4.76. So 80 multiply 4.76. That gives me 380.80. So 380.80. And we can see it is exactly 380.80. So it's not a problem. So we said like there is no problem with the net amount. VAT amount, so multiply by 20%. Let's have a look. How much is the VAT? Times 20%. The VAT is 76.16. And this is exactly 76.16. We have no problem for that. Total amount, if I added this to the 380 plus 76, so it should be 456.96. But here I can see 456.76. There is a problem with the 76. It's not 76, should be 96. So this is incorrect. So total amount is incorrect. And the terms of the payment. So on the order, the terms was 30 days, net 30 days. So I'm going to pay within 30 days. But on the invoice, I can see it's net monthly. Even though it's better. Net monthly means like you pay at the end of the next month, at the end of the following month. But of course, it is not matching. So there is a problem. So we said, yes, the terms of the payment is not match with the order and the invoice. So this is the 4 discrepancies. Very simple. All right, let's move to the next one then. So the next one, we're going to move at the next question. So next question, we go task 7. We done the 6. Yeah, 6 actually, not 7. Okay, so 6, 10 marks. It said this task is about processing payment to the supplier. This task have a part A to C. So an invoice dated 15th May has been received from a supplier 9750, including VAT. The supplier terms of the payment are. Remember that as soon as you see the word including VAT, that means the VAT is inside. And if the VAT is inside, how do you find it out? How much is the VAT? Remember that, divide by 6. If the VAT is inside, you always divide by 6 to find it out how much is the VAT inside. So the supplier terms of the payment are either you can pay 30 days net from today, the day we have the invoice, from today you have 30 days, number 1, or 1% discount if you pay within 20 days, or 2% discount if you pay within 10 days, all right? Identify the date by which supplier should receive the payment if no discount is taken. So if I don't like to take the discount, if I don't like to take the settlement or prompt discount, by which day I need to make a payment. So I can see the invoice date is 15th of May. From the 15th of May, I need to count 30 days. Remember that do not count 31 days because some month can be 31 days. So you need to count exactly 30 days from 15th of May, and that will be 14th of June. It's not 15 to 15. Remember that 15 to 15 is not 30 days, it's 31 days. So you need to calculate 15 to 14, that's 30 days. So we need to make a payment by 14th of June, by 14th of next month. Identify the amount to be paid and the date by which supplier should receive the payment for each of the term payment offered below. Okay, so if I like to pay within 20 days, so how much amount I should pay? So let's have a look. So it's a 9750 is the full amount, that is 100%. If I pay within 20 days, I will get 1% discount. That means I'm going to pay 99%. So you can minus 1% or you can multiply with the 99%, is the same thing. So I'll say multiply 99%. That will make my work faster. So I can do this one, 9750 times 99%, because if I get a discount, I pay 99%. 1% will be the discount, 9652.50. So 9652.50. And the date I need to make the payment. So 20 days, I have to keep count from 15th of May, next 20 days. So if we count that, that will be 4th of June. So 4th of June, I need to make the payment within 20 days. So that will be 4th of June. That's it. The next one is that if we pay within 10 days, what will be the amount I need to pay? If I pay within 10 days, I'll get 2% discount. So very simple, 9750 multiply 98% because 2% will be the discount. And how much it will be? It will be 9555. That's it. So 9555, and within how many days I need to make the payment? Within 10 days. So from 15, if I added 10 days, it will be 25th of June. So 25th of May, sorry, not June, because I have to pay on the same amount, 25th of May, because invoice date is 15th of May plus 10 days, 25th of May. All right, so very simple. Let's move to the next one. The next one we have here, they said, calculate the amount that should be paid to settle the remaining balance of the account. Okay, that's the statement of account. So the statement of account is like when you keep a record for your supplier, and we call them the purchase ledger or the supplier account. But at the same time, the supplier keep a record for you. So when you make a payment, or if you like to see how much is the balance outstanding, you can ask the supplier, can you send me the statement of account? A statement of account is like a bank statement. So on this statement, you're going to see everything, how many times you make the order, all the invoices, how many times you make the payments, everything will be recorded on the statement of account. All right, identify 4 amount that will be included in the to check. Okay, let's read the question first. A statement of account received from another supplier, CP, does not reconcile the supplier report below. The statement of account show an amount outstanding 8782. So basically, the supplier asking for 8,782 pounds from you. And this does not include the to check 29 and 31st of May, which were received by the supplier after the statement had been prepared. So that means this is basically when you're sending the statement to the customer and the customer send the check after that. So for that reason, this to check is not included on the payment. So which date? They say 29th of May and 31st of May. So these two, this and that, it is not included on the amount. That means this amount 8782, the supplier asking, I'm not going to pay this amount because this to check 1623 and 818 I already paid, but of course supplier didn't receive it yet, or receive after the statement date. So that's why supplier didn't update. So I'm not going to pay the same amount. So I also like, I'm going to pay how much actually. So 8782 minus 1623 minus 818. So that gives me 6341. This is the amount I'm going to pay, the remaining balance. The question is asking, calculate the amount should be paid. So the amount should be paid 6341. That's it, because this two already paid, but it's not updated yet. It will be updated soon. The next one is says, like here, identify which four amount were included in the two check. So that means this two check, if I added this two, how much it is? 1623 plus 818. That basically 2441. They said how many, what amount included in this two check. So let's have a look. Always start with opening balance. So we have a 1962. So you take the 1962, 1968. So this is the one. Then you have a credit note minus the credit note, 3425. Then it gives me how much? So 1968 minus 345. I give 1623. So exactly match with the first check, you see. So that means these two transactions, 1 and 2, is included for the first check, 1623. So this is gone. The next one, another check, 818. So let's have a look. This invoice is more than 818. So it is not this one. Then you have invoice 1157. This is more than 818. So it is not the one. We have a 326. Let's check because this is a less amount. And then this is more than 818. And we have a 492. Let's check this one. Plus 492. If we added this two, 326 plus 492, that gives me exactly 818. That means I added this to invoice and make the payment for this two. So this is clear for that. So I understand this one and that one. So this four transaction is the combination of these two check. All right, very simple. Let's move to the next one. So the next one we are looking at question number 7. Question number 7 is saying this task is about processing transaction in the cash book. Okay, cash book question will be always in the exam. It's very common. This task contain A and B. Two amount has been paid. If we paid, remember that cash book credit side. If we receive the money, cash book debit side. If we pay for any reason, is cash book credit side. Okay, so we paid for one is we paid for the PWT college. So the college fee for the student. So for the payroll course, that is a training. Payroll course is a training. And choice catering. Catering is just maybe for the tea and coffee or some food. So we can say it's a refreshment, or you can say staff welfare or entertainment, something like that. Enter the transaction in the bookkeeping system. Okay, so which book is definitely cash payment, cash book payment, because anything I paid, that will be cash book payment book. If the amount is a very simple, small, for example, 5 or 10 pound, then it will go to the petty cash payment. But if the amount is a little bit bigger, it will go to the cash book payment side. Okay, then it says digital bookkeeping entries, PWT college is a training. So definitely the training. How much is the net? The net was 1960.50, 1960.50. There is no VAT. They said the VAT is exempted. So we said no VAT exempted. The next one is a catering, that's refreshment, or you can find it out as staff welfare or entertainment if they have it. Then they said 195 including VAT. So total is 195. We need to find how much is the VAT. Very simple how I find it, divide by 6. So 195 divided by 6. That tells me how much is the VAT. 195 divided by 6. So 32.5 is the VAT. And if we minus that from 195, that will tell me 162.5 is the net. They're asking for the net only, so that's fair enough. 162.5. And the VAT is standard, so 20%. All right. The next one, it says at the end of the month, the debit side of the cash book total 13,726.55, and the credit side is 15,299.12. Remember that do not be confused if you see that credit is higher than the debit, because in the cash book we have a two column. One is the cash column, one is the bank column. And that means the cash cannot be minus because we cannot spend more than we have, but it is possible the bank can go to overdraft. For that reason, if the cash book give you a negative balance, minus balance, don't think is wrong, because the bank can give you the overdrawn balance. So, but you have to show it a negative figure in a minus if it is. Calculate the bank balance, use a minus sign if your calculation indicate a overdrawn. So let's do it. It's very simple just to find the difference between these two. So 15,229 minus 13,726.55. So we do 15,299.12 minus 13,726.55. And that gives me 1572.57. Do not forget the minus sign because they said show the negative sign. My debit is lower than the credit. If the credit is higher, credit side is higher, that means like I made a more payment than I received. I received on the debit side only 13,726, but I paid actually 15. So obviously I'm in a minus. All right, very simple. So let's move to the next one. The next one we have here, that is question number 8. Question number 8, this task is about processing the transaction in the petty cash. Very simple. Let's have a look. An organization keep an analytical petty cash book, withdraw 200 from the bank on the first of each month and top up the petty cash. So this is called the restoring amount. So obviously like this amount we like to keep on the petty cash box every month. And on 1st September, there was 1288, that is 1288 in the petty cash box. That means that was the opening balance. So on the box, we already had £12.88, and I withdraw another 200 from the bank. So 200 I withdraw, I already had 1288. So my new petty cash balance will be 212. So 212.88. That will be the new balance because already £12 we had on the box, another 200 I withdraw. And how much I spent? So withdraw from the bank during the month petty cash purchase. So total I spent 187. So 187.42 I spent. So 212.88 minus 187.42. So how much money I have left on the petty cash at the end of the month? That is 25.46. So this is the money I have left on the petty cash box. So very good. So it's not a problem for us. So we say like the detail we have here. Remember that this is my balance carried down. So I had 212 and I will spend 187. So my debit side is 212. My credit side is 187. So credit is lower. So that gives me the balance CD or balance carried down on the credit side. So balance carried down, the amount will be 25.46. And debit or credit, remember that is a credit. Why is a credit? Because it's on the credit side. Balance CD on the petty cash book will be always created on the credit side because the cash cannot go minus. So on the debit side, how much money you have, credit side after spending, how much remaining balance you have. So balance CD will make it total. So both side total will be equal. You know how to do your ledger account, debit and credit has to be equal always. The first petty cash purchase in October in show below. So, okay, let's have a look. What do you buy? Stationery from the office. So 27.30 plus the VAT. So my total net is 27. So it's not the total. So net is 27.30. If the question said plus VAT is very simple, just multiply with 20%. So 27.30 multiply 20%, that give me the VAT 5.46. 5.46 is the VAT. If I make a total, that will be 32.76. All right, that's it. Next one, task 9 is for the question we have here for 6 marks. So it says this task about processing the recurring interest. Recurring interest means like rather than doing the transaction every month or every week or every quarter, you can make the transaction repeated. So rather than you do by yourself manually, the transaction will be created automatically. This is a very common in every single bookkeeping software we have. Either you use QuickBook or Xero or Sage. Every single bookkeeping software, they have the repeated invoice. For example, you pay the rent or business rate every month on the same date and the same amount. So rather than doing it every month, you can just like make the recurring invoice or recurring bill. It will be created automatically. All right, a new bank payment has been authorized as shown in the note below. I have today authorized a monthly standing order. So standing order is STO, standing order, related to motor insurance. So is insurance from which company? Pan Insurance. Okay. Please set up a recurring entry to pay the total amount 1512 in equal installment of 252 starting from 15 October. So we are paying 1512 and every month equal installment. So every month we are paying 252. That means for how many months? So if we do that, 1512 divided by 252, so 6 months. So 6 months is important to know for how long I'm going to set up the standing order. And starting from 15th of October, then 15 November, 15 December, 15 January, it will carry on for 6 months. The transaction is exempt from the VAT, no VAT, fair enough. So let's have a look. So we have detail type. What is it? It's the motor insurance. So we understand that it's the motor insurance. And then frequency, monthly. For how many months? Recurrence for 6 months. Amount is very simple, 252. VAT, no VAT. That's it, is exempted. That's it. All right, the next one, it says, the following day, the digital bookkeeping system display the matches below. So they give you a warning or the notification. Do you want to proceed the recurring entries today? So it has happened like when you enter the transaction in the software, they want to make it like the rules. For example, they will say like you want to always think like British Gas is your gas and electricity. If you say yes, next time you don't have to like do it yourself. So software will do automatically because they know it is a gas and electricity. So you can basically categorize automatically the transaction. So, but they will ask you definitely first. So do you want to proceed this transaction as a recurring entity? So you say yes. Please choose one of the recurring entity. Which one? So we know we want to set up the standing order. So STO, and detail is a Pan Insurance and 15 October and amount to 52, and this is the one. So we have clear information, Pan Insurance, standing order to 52. So that's it. All right, so let's have a look. The next one we have here, 10. Task 10 says that this task is about transferring the data from the books of prime entry. Books of prime entry means sales day book, purchase day book, general ledger, the book, discount received day book, discount payment day book, discount received and payment. So basically this sort of book is called book of prime entry. Book of prime entry means like the organization have no choice, they have to keep this record, and when they prepare the accounts or any other information, they'll need this information. This task is about transferring the data for the book of prime entry. Okay, so what type of book we have? Sales return day book. So we need to know the journal, how to do the debit and credit. If you don't know it, I have some video for the debit and credit. Make sure you watch it, you'll understand it better way. Debit and credit is everything. Make sure your debit and credit is very strong. So you have a sales return. So sales return is always debit. Sales is always credit. So sales return will be opposite. Sales return will be always debit. So sales return day book means like when the customer returned to you. When the customer returned to you, we record on the sales return day book. Sales return is the net amount. So that will be 2,946. And the VAT will be also debit because when you return, I'm not going to pay the VAT for that. Tell the HMRC customer return to me, I'm not going to pay VAT for that. And the receivables ledger control account or sales ledger control account will be credit. That's the total amount, 35.20. Why the receivables ledger control account is credit? Because the total balance for the credit customer will go down. Because of the return, now my customer will pay me less because they will say I returned to you, so I'm not going to pay the same amount. So total value will be down. So normally the receivables ledger control is a debit. If I like to reduce it, I make it credit. So sales return was a debit, VAT is a debit, and receivables ledger is a credit. The discount received day book has been total and all amount have been transferred to the relevant ledger account. One of the transactions related to the credit note 62 plus VAT received from P PEL Limited. So I receive a credit note. Remember that, very careful. If I receive a credit note, that means I return something to my supplier. If I issue a credit note, that means customer return to me and I issue the credit note to my customer. So very careful with that. If I receive a credit note, that means I am the customer here because I received something to my supplier. So it will be identify the ledger account. The credit note will be entered as a payable, because obviously, like if I buy something and if I return to it, so my payable balance need to go down. I'm not going to pay the same amount to my supplier if I return something. Enter the amount. So how much will be the amount? So that will be which company? PEL Limited. Amount will be 62 plus VAT. So let's find it out. How much is the 62 plus VAT? 74.40. 74.40, and it will be debit for me. Remember that, because on the supplier account we have a two side. We have a debit and credit. So when you have a purchase ledger control account, so opening balance or purchase ledger always on the credit. So balance BA or BD on the credit side for the supplier account, because the liability account I have to pay it. So every time if I return, so purchase return will be always on the debit side. Credit note always in the debit side. It will reduce my balance. For that reason, it is a debit. All right, so I think that's the last question we have. No more question. So it's not very difficult. You can see if you practice, you can get 100 on this exam. It's a very simple bookkeeping, but this will make your bookkeeping very clear. So when you study the level 2 bookkeeping, you need to make sure your debit and credit very good, ledger account very good, trial balance very good, because this will help you on your level 3 and your level 4 and the workplace as well. Hopefully this video will be very helpful for your studies and to revise. And if you have any question, feel free to email me. If you like this videos, make sure you like it or comment if you have any question, or always make sure you practice enough to understand it with the logic, not just to memorize. Thank you very much.